Hi, and welcome to Video Editing 101. This is the introductory module where we're going to talk about the characteristics of a natural editor. Now, I will admit that I am lucky in the fact that I kind of fell into editing kind of by accident, really through music. And so I didn't set out to be a video editor. I hadn't even considered being a video editor. Back when I was in college, the tools were pretty rudimentary, and there just really weren't the opportunities to do editing. Now I happened to land at a TV station as kind of a gopher, do all different kinds of things. I was actually hired to wash the news department cars. And but while I was there, I would see how they did the news, and very early on, photogs were so happy that their cars were clean that they'd asked me to come out on shoots and tech, which is another word for gopher. So I'd pull cable, I would set up the microwave, set up the tripod, run audio cables. I had a background as a musician, so I wasn't scared of, equipment, understood the principles of audio, and video is not that much different, so it didn't take me long to figure it out. And I got help when I needed it. And anyway, I ended up, really through serendipity, being hired to be the first video editor at this TV station. As I've said in other lessons, I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, in that the equipment to do news on 3/4-inch videotape had reached the price point and availability that the station that I was working at was converting from shooting film over to video. And they had not 100% converted, but probably 80 to 90% converted. Every once in a while, they would still shoot a story on film, and that of course had to get back to the station, and it took time to go through developing. And then most of the time, unless it was really last minute, which they would try to avoid, but most of the time they would transfer the film to videotape and still edit it on videotape. But it was very new at the time, and edited on 3/4-inch machines, and really noisy, really clanky. None of the kind of equipment that we have now to edit with. So that's how I started. And I just instantly liked it. I really liked editing. And it gave me a very similar kind of feedback that I got from music. And so it just, for lack of a better term, it just really worked out well. And as I progressed through my career, I would, kind of contemplate, well, what is it that I like about editing? Or what is it, what characteristics do I have or that I've developed that have really helped me in editing? And that's kind of the basis of this introductory module. As I said in my welcome video, if you believe someone can be a natural anything, then why couldn't they be a natural editor? And I think I was just lucky in that I found this profession, because abilities that I had seemed to mesh really well with video editing and have continued throughout my career. So this is the first thing we're going to talk about, and that is being a visualizer. So when I say a natural, or the ability of a natural video editor is to be a visualizer, it means they have the ability to see things that haven't happened yet. In other words, when I would get a story, I would get the script, I would get raw tape, and as I went through the raw tape, I would go, okay, well, that would be a good first shot. I can see that. This would be a great shot that goes with that shot. This must be what they're talking about in this part of the script. And so really, as I watched it, I saw where the different shots were going to fit. And I also should say, before I get too far into it, that none of these are unlearnable. I just happen to have that experience, and I'm not saying it all hit me the first day, but the more I did it, the more I could see what it was supposed to look like when it was over, before I even started. And so that gave me a comfort level. It gave me, it was pretty efficient. And I was, one of the first goals that I had as an editor was to be able to edit well, as fast as anybody else there in the newsroom edited. And the fastest editor at that time was a photographer who was just kind of had the reputation that, man, if you were really up against the deadline, he could edit a story quickly. And so my goal was to be, 6 months after I started editing, was to be considered that guy. And I think I was largely able to accomplish that. To be honest, I wasn't really welcomed. The chief photographer hired me to be the first editor. And at that time, usually the shooter would edit the story for the reporter. So, and every once in a while, the reporter, if they really felt technically inclined, might hazard to come back and try to figure out how to actually edit their own story. But the photographers were convinced, through no real experience, that they couldn't understand how anyone could edit a story better than they could, because they had shot it. And there's some merit in that, but it's not, it's really not that hard. And I will talk throughout this that sometimes, a photographer would be upset with me because I didn't pick a certain shot. Well, I always go for, does the shot move the story forward? Does it enhance the story? Or is it just a cool shot? And sometimes it can be both. But there would be an occasional time when a photographer might have really sweated bullets, to be able to, stand with one leg in a creek and the other leg on a building and do a perfect pan from one thing to another. Well, if I didn't feel that that fit anywhere in the story, if the reporter had written the script saying, describing that shot, I would have put it in, no questions asked. But as just a cool shot that didn't actually didn't actually show anything that the reporter was talking about, I probably wouldn't put it in. And he'd come back and go, I did this great shot. And I go, yeah, I saw it. It is a great shot. You did a good job. I just, you need to go get the reporter to write a sentence about it, and then I'll put it in. And that would annoy them sometimes. But I always felt that the editor's role was really to be a new set of eyes. And I still think it's that way. I edit for a couple of clients that have a news background like mine, and sometimes they will want me to do things that I just don't agree with, and I will fight with them, not knock down, drag out fight, but I'll discuss, why do you want me to put this shot in when we've already told a story? And many times it's because, well, they promised somebody that they would use their shot. So they want me to put this shot that doesn't really relate to the story in because of something that has nothing to do with why I would choose a shot. And I think that's a valuable thing that a professional editor can do, is that they can look at the situation and go, what best tells the story? I don't have any emotional attachment to, any particular words or any particular pictures or any particular people. I'm just trying to tell the story in the best way possible. And I think that's a valuable thing. But so the first trait that I would, as I started to explain, is a visualizer. someone that can see the story is being finished, what it should look like, what it should feel like before they start. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the next one, which is observational.